They think silence is weakness. They think your quiet is surrender. They think because you stopped talking, you stopped building, but that's because they don't know what it feels like to be ignored, to speak into a room full of people and feel like your voice never existed. They don't know what it's like to try and be seen, only to be passed over, doubted, laughed at, overlooked like you were invisible. But you know, you've lived that feeling, and that pain did something to you. It woke up a side of you they never expected to meet, not loud, not desperate, not begging, just focused, unshakable, deadly calm, because silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategic power. The world wants noise. It wants to see you explaining, proving, begging, defending. But you walked away from all that because you realize something powerful when you're serious about winning. You stop broadcasting your moves. You stop telling people what you're about to do and just go out and do it. That silence they think is fear, it's your preparation. That quiet they think is defeat, it's your reloading. You're not retreating, you're recalibrating. You're not disappearing, you're constructing in the dark. You stopped clapping for the world, and you started working for yourself. While they sleep, you build. While they scroll, you study. While they mock, you move. One brick at a time, one step at a time. Every silent second is a seed being planted. They wanted you to quit. That's why they ignored you, because people only ignore what they don't understand, or what they secretly fear. You don't fit into their small minds. You outgrew their shallow rooms, and instead of shrinking yourself to be seen, you chose to build in silence, because you know something most people never figure out. Validation is a trap. The more you chase applause, the less you hear your own voice. The more you chase approval, the more you give away your power. But you snatched your power back the day you decided not to explain yourself anymore. You stopped asking why me and started saying watch me. You didn't scream for attention. You earned it in silence, in solitude, in pain, and yes, it hurt. Being ignored by people you once admired, being passed over by people you once helped, being underestimated by people who swore they had your back. But the silence taught you who you are. It showed you your limits, then dared you to break them. It made you question your worth, then forced you to redefine it, because in that silence you found something more important than their approval. You found your resolve, that fire in your gut that doesn't go out when no one's watching, that steel in your spine that doesn't melt under pressure, that insane, quiet belief that even if the whole world doubts you, you still won't stop. That's not weakness, that's power. That's how legends are made in silence. They see silence as surrender, but you see it as strategy. While they were performing, you were preparing. While they chased claps, you chased mastery, because you understood early that real success doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to convince. It just arrives fully built and shuts everything down. One day you'll walk into the same rooms that once rejected you, and they won't recognize you. Not because your face changed, but because your energy did. You'll speak and people will listen not because you're louder, but because your silence taught you how to make every word count. You'll succeed without asking. You'll lead without needing, because you built yourself from the ground up, not with noise, but with purpose. And let's be honest, part of you wants revenge. Not to destroy anyone, but to destroy the version of you that ever believed them, that ever settled for their limits, that ever let their ignorance define your value. And the best revenge, it's not screaming, "I told you so." It's walking past them with peace in your chest and power in your steps. It's looking at them and feeling nothing, not hate, not pride, just clarity that they were never your enemy. Your enemy was your doubt. And that's the thing you killed in silence. They thought you went quiet because you lost, but you went quiet because you were just getting started. Because every king, every warrior, every revolutionary knows the most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest, it's the one who sits in silence, watches everything, and says nothing. you've become that person. And it terrifies them, because when you stop talking, they can't predict you. When you stop explaining, they can't control you. And when you stop needing them, they lose all their power. So don't break your silence to satisfy small minds. Don't ruin your peace to respond to petty opinions. Don't dim your fire just because they don't understand your light. You were ignored so you could be refined. You were silenced so you could sharpen your voice. You were rejected so you could rise alone, unshakable, unbreakable, undeniable. This chapter isn't about them. It's about you, and the you that's coming, the one built in silence. That version doesn't ask. That version takes. That version doesn't chase. That version attracts. That version doesn't break. When left alone, it grows deeper roots, stronger branches, and a fire that can't be put out. They thought silence would bury you. They didn't realize you were a seed. Let them doubt, let them ignore, let them sleep on you, because when you rise, and you will, it'll be too late for apologies, too late for congratulations, too late for explanations. You won't need their praise, you won't even need their attention, because the success you're building in silence will speak for itself, and when it does, it won't whisper, it'll roar. They laughed. They mocked, they rolled their eyes when you spoke about your vision. You saw it in their smirks, that subtle doubt, that sharp little grin that said, you think you can do something great, and maybe for a moment you believed them. Maybe you felt foolish, dreaming big in a small room full of people who never dared to dream at all, but what they didn't know, what they could never understand, is that your vision wasn't meant for them. It wasn't built for their understanding, it was built for your becoming. See, they laughed because they couldn't see what you see. They laughed because their imagination ends where your blueprint begins. It's not their fault. Small minds are terrified of big visions. People who have never broken a cycle, never fought a war with themselves, never stayed awake at night wrestling with a calling that won't let go, those people will always think you're crazy. And when you speak with fire, when you speak with belief, they'll mistake it for delusion, because to them, anything bigger than average is absurd. But here's the truth. They don't laugh because it's impossible. They laugh because deep down they know they could have tried to, but they didn't. Your courage is a mirror, and it shows them everything they gave up on. Your hunger reminds them they settled. Your voice reminds them they went quiet. So they mock, they downplay, they laugh, not to destroy you, but to protect their own comfort zone. Because if you're right, then they're wrong, and they can't afford that. But here's what they didn't expect. They didn't expect you to keep going after they laughed. They thought a little mockery would be enough, a little shame, a little silence from their side of the room, but they underestimated your pain threshold. They didn't realize your dream wasn't built on fantasy, it was built on scars. They didn't know you've failed before, that you've been broken before, that you've been invisible before, and you survived it. So when they laughed, you didn't fall apart. You just grew quieter, not out of fear, out of focus. You went underground, you got disciplined, you got serious, and while they kept laughing, you kept building. That's the part they'll never see, the late nights, the loneliness, the obsession. The invisible hours where no one's cheering, no one's clapping, and no one believes in what you're doing except you. That's where the vision gets real. That's where the dream stops being a fantasy and starts becoming a war. And that's where you started to win, not in public, not on a stage, but alone. While the world slept, you were awake. While they laughed, you studied. While they wasted time, you bought yours in blood, sweat, and silence. They didn't see it because they weren't meant to. Your vision doesn't need witnesses. It just needs commitment. You stopped explaining, because explanations are for people who listen, and they were too busy laughing to hear you. So you made a decision, a dangerous one most people never make. You decided to show them, not with words, not with promises, not with quotes on a screen, but with action, relentless, silent, disciplined action. You decided that one day they'll hear your name and remember the day they laughed, They'll scroll past your face and feel that quiet sting of regret, not because you failed, but because you didn't. And when that day comes, you won't even flinch, because by then, you'll be far ahead mentally, spiritually, financially, and they'll still be in the crowd, whispering about what you've become. So when they laugh at your vision, let them. It means they saw your fire, but couldn't recognize the flame. It means you're building something bigger than what their minds can hold. And if your dream doesn't scare the small thinkers around you, it's not big enough. You're not here to convince them. You're here to become the proof. Let their laughter echo while you sharpen your tools. Let their doubt be the fuel to your discipline. One day, that same laugh will sound like envy, and that same silence you endured, it'll sound like applause because they laughed, but you built anyway. They think nothing's happening because you're quiet. They think you gave up because you don't post about it. They think you lost the fire because they don't see the flames. What they don't know, what they'll never understand, is that the real work is done where no one's watching. You don't broadcast your struggle. You don't live stream your pain. You're not here to entertain them with your grind. You're not here for views, you're here for victory, because you learned something they never did. If you want to shine in the light, you have to build in the dark. And the dark is lonely. It's silent. It's brutally honest. No cameras, no applause, no comfort. Just you, your doubts, your discipline, and the version of yourself you swore you'd become. And that's where most people quit. Not in front of the world, but behind the curtain. In the quiet, in the places where it's just too hard to keep believing, but you stayed, you kept showing up day after day, no credit, no validation, no guarantee, just faith, just focus, just fire. You built when no one believed, you kept moving when no one clapped. That's power, the kind of power that makes people uncomfortable when you finally rise, because they only respect results, and you're about to give them something they can't ignore. There's a myth that success is this glamorous, shiny process, but anyone who's truly built something real knows it's mud, it's sweat, it's waking up early when you're exhausted, it's working through heartbreak, it's sacrificing everything familiar for something invisible, it's walking away from distractions that look like love, look like support, but are just anchors, it's burying your ego, it's studying in silence while everyone else parties. It's crying through the reps and pushing anyway, and no one sees that. They just see the glow when you finally make it, but they never see the dark that taught you how to shine. You learned to love that darkness. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. The dark sharpened you. It made you more dangerous. It stripped away your weaknesses. Every time you felt unseen, you built character. Every time you felt unheard, you built resilience. Every moment you wanted to quit but didn't, you layered another brick onto the foundation of your legacy, and now you're different. You don't react like them. You don't beg like them. You don't break like them. Because you were built differently in silence, in storms, in solitude. And now the world is going to meet a version of you it didn't know was coming. The one that doesn't need attention, doesn't seek revenge, doesn't chase praise, it just shows up and performs. Calm, sharp, focused, unstoppable, people will say, "Where did you come from?" And the answer will be simple. I never left. I was just building in the dark. I was healing. I was sharpening. I was studying while they laughed. I was creating while they slept. I was becoming something they weren't ready to meet. And now that the light is here, I'm not stepping in it with hope. I'm stepping in it with dominance. See, when you build in the dark, you don't just surprise them, you shake them. Because nothing is more terrifying than someone who didn't quit. Someone who trained while ignored. Someone who sharpened their blade in silence, then walked into the battlefield without saying a word. You don't need to scream when your results are loud enough. You don't need to announce your return when your presence demands attention. You're not coming to take part. You're coming to take over, not because of ego, but because of effort. You earned this, and not in the spotlight, not in the claps. You earned it in the quiet. You earned it in the dark. So stay silent, stay focused, stay in the grind they'll never see, let them sleep on you, let them scroll past you, let them forget your name, because when the light finds you and you'll be ready to burn so bright, they'll wish they'd never doubted you, because you didn't build for their eyes. You built for your future, and now it's your time to shine. It hurt, didn't it, when they turned their backs, when they acted like you didn't exist, when you gave your all and got silence in return? That kind of pain doesn't just sting, it carves itself into your chest. It follows you through the day and crawls into bed with you at night. It makes you question your worth, your direction, your purpose. You start to wonder if maybe they were right. Maybe you're not meant for anything greater. But here's the part they'll never understand: that pain, that unbearable, suffocating silence. It didn't destroy you. It built you. It didn't break you. It became the foundation of something unstoppable. Because your pain is proof that you're growing. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in pressure, in betrayal, in isolation. You grow when your heart is breaking and you still show up. You grow when the weight gets heavier and you refuse to drop it. You grow when you're bleeding inside and still give your best. That's the truth no one tells you. Everyone wants the glow up, but no one wants the grind. Everyone wants the win, but no one wants the wounds. You've taken every hit, every scar, and you kept moving. That's growth, raw, unfiltered, ugly growth. Not the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that makes legends. Pain is a gift in disguise. It exposes the truth. It strips away the noise. When you're in pain, you find out who's real, who's fake, and who never gave a damn to begin with. And it hurts. God, it hurts. But it also cleans you. It sharpens your vision. Suddenly, you don't care about opinions. You don't care about validation. You don't care about fitting into rooms that were never built for you. That's when you level up, when you stop asking for peace from the people who gave you war and start building it for yourself, alone if you have to, in silence if you must, because pain taught you how to lead yourself. You used to cry for their support. Now you use that silence as fuel. You used to break when they left. Now you thank them for walking out because their absence gave you the space to finally meet yourself. You stopped trying to be liked. You started trying to be powerful. You stopped explaining your dreams to people who had none. You started grinding in the dark while they danced in mediocrity. You used your pain like bricks, and every ounce of it became part of your new foundation. Now you stand taller, stronger, not because life got easier, but because you got harder to break. There were nights you didn't sleep, days you felt numb, moments you questioned if it was even worth it. But you kept showing up. You kept moving forward. That's what separates you from the rest, not your talent, not your luck, your endurance, your resilience, your decision to keep walking through hell without waiting for rescue. Most people look for exits. You built a throne in the fire, and now you carry scars that scare people not because they're ugly, but because they mean you survived something they would have folded under. Pain doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're alive. It means you're pushing beyond the version of you that settled, that hesitated, that accepted less. Pain is the alarm clock for your greatness. It wakes up the part of you that's been sleeping. It shakes the cage, and if you're smart, you don't numb it, you listen to it. You let it speak. You let it show you where you're still chained, and then you break those chains with the strength it gave you. You stop asking why me and start declaring try me, because you realize this pain isn't punishment, it's preparation, it's not the end, it's the fire before the rise. You don't become great by coasting. You become great by crawling, by dragging yourself forward when your body is screaming to stop, by getting up again and again with no cheerleaders, no spotlight, no finish line in sight, just that voice in your chest that says, "Don't quit, not now." That voice is forged in pain. And it's the only voice you need, because once you've survived the silence, once you've outlasted the heartbreak, the doubt, the fear, no one can stop you. You become untouchable. Not because life stops hurting, but because you've learned how to rise with broken bones and blood in your mouth. So next time it hurts, smile, because something's shifting. You're not who you used to be. That pain means you're in the middle of a transformation. You're outgrowing the cage. You're shedding the lies. And it's messy, it's brutal, but it's real, and when the world finally sees what that pain built, they'll never laugh again. They'll wonder how you did it, and you'll simply say, I let the pain shape me instead of silence me. Because this version of you, the one rising right now, was built not in peace, but in pain. They tried to bury you. They tried to replace you. They tried to erase you from the picture because you made them uncomfortable. You were too focused, too raw, too determined. You reminded them of everything they could have been if they hadn't quit. And instead of rising with you, they turned against you. They didn't attack you with fists, they attacked you with silence. With absence, with indifference. That's the quietest kind of war, and the deadliest because it doesn't scream, it starves you. Starves your soul, starves your light, but you didn't die in that silence. You thrived in it. You became something they never saw coming, because here's what they didn't know. You don't need noise to build an empire. You don't need applause to become a weapon. You don't need anyone's permission to become legendary. You learn to eat alone. You learn to train without an audience. You learn to smile without approval. You learn to master your own energy, even when the room was cold and empty. That's what makes you lethal. Now they left, and you kept moving. They gave up, and you leveled up, and now you carry a silence so powerful, it screams through your presence. You don't have to explain yourself anymore, you are the explanation. They tried to forget you, because remembering you meant confronting their own laziness. You were once part of the circle, part of the crowd. You laughed with them, sat beside them, but you started asking for more, started thinking differently, started breaking habits and speaking truth. And that scared them, so they stopped calling, stopped checking in, but don't get it twisted, they still watch, quietly, closely. They act like you disappeared, but your name lives rent, free in the back of their minds. Not because of who you were, but because of who you're becoming. Let them ignore you. Let them pretend you don't exist. That's the greatest gift they could have given you, because now you don't owe anyone a thing. No one can say they made you. No one can say they helped build the throne you're sitting on. You built it alone, brick by silent brick. You faced demons in the dark, fought battles no one will ever understand. There were nights you wanted to break, but you didn't. Days you felt invisible, but you kept showing up. That's what makes you chosen, not talent, not luck, but endurance. The audacity to believe in yourself when no one else would. And now they'll see you again, but not the same version. You won't return to prove anything. You'll return as a storm, calm, controlled, devastating. You'll walk into rooms that once overlooked you, and they'll feel the weight of your silence before you even speak. That's what silent work does. It builds power that doesn't ask for attention, it commands it. You're not the same. You've seen too much, felt too much, grown too much. Their version of you doesn't exist anymore. You don't get distracted now. You don't chase. You don't beg. You sit back and build. Let your work speak while you stay quiet. Let your results be the noise. Let your discipline be the revenge. You're no longer trying to be liked. You're building something that'll last beyond opinions. Let them talk, let them sleep, let them scroll past your progress like it means nothing. The day will come when they look again and it's too late. You'll already be too far, too focused, too evolved. Because when you build in silence, you're not just becoming stronger, you're becoming untouchable. You don't need the crowd, you don't need the cheer, you are the fire now. And there's nothing louder than a person who stayed quiet, and still won.